Welcome to tonight's Financial Policy Council event. We only invite the elite of the elite. Just look around. You are the important people. You are the people who believe in the mission of this organization. So we have an esteemed group of experts here tonight that are going to talk to you tonight about the future of digital economics and global impact of automation.
I'm focusing on 4 things: artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and data analytics. These are the 4 different combinations that can drive the economics of the future.
Blockchain is essentially a way that helps to reduce waste and increase revenue. And as we know, the healthcare industry is very excessive for spending. And blockchain essentially provides an artificial intelligence to allow them to learn more information, so that way the doctors have that readily available.
It's a very exciting time for innovation. It's the lawyers that are being just as innovative as the blockchain anarchists, the computer programmers, the rest of the industry.
Our job is to help companies and entrepreneurs to be able to take advantage of this great technology in a compliant way.
We are very much looking for a market revolution, and we believe that innovation and empowerment is a huge part of it.
Innovation is doing something which promotes mankind, which is for the benefit of the people, which is done for the good of the people. That is what innovation is, according to us.
Can you tell us why entrepreneurship is so important during this time?
There's a lot of creative minds in the marketplace, but there is no platform that can provide the opportunity to become an entrepreneurship. With Ziad and myself, about 8 years ago, created this Financial Policy Council to promote entrepreneurship.
What I really wanted to do is come up here and introduce the chairman of the board, which most of you, I'm sure, know. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves for what he's done and what he's doing, for not just the Financial Policy Council, but the business world at large. So without further ado, I want you to please give a warm welcome with me to Ziad, who deserves a tremendous amount of recognition.
There's no organization like this in the United States of America, non-profit, that does what we do. Most of the people who come to our panels are people who are accomplished entrepreneurs. We believe in entrepreneurship. We believe in people who have skin in the game. We believe in risk takers. Just surround yourself with the best and the brightest and the boldest. And that's how you're going to get somewhere. We need to know what is in people's bellies to do business. What drives you? What ticks you? This is the mission of the Financial Policy Council. Before we start this panel, I would like, with my partner, Harry Eppanapally, please join me, to present the Entrepreneur Award for July 2018 to Nimish Mistry.
I would like to thank the Financial Policy Council, Hari, Ziad, board members, and all other members of the FPC for this recognition. Thank you. I would like to dedicate this award to the entire team of Active Victim, Jason, Chad, Don, Frank, Emmett, Rob, and all others who made this brand a successful one. We worked really, really hard to make this brand where it is right now. And a special mention to my family office for believing in us and supporting us through all of this time. It wouldn't have been possible without all of you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We find the origins of our family office in British India, where we were landlords. We used to own large parcels of land. We used to then sell wood and for carpentry items. Gradually, we went into a real estate business, which turned out to be very, very robust today. And here I am standing in front of you with this Entrepreneur Award. We have 300 plus employees all over the globe, and we are currently working in 8 plus countries today. So I feel really honored to be here and share all of this with you. And I lead the family office so I am the 3rd generation of the family office, so it has been hereditary for us. And we have been growing ever since, and we have some very, very good goals with regards to the future years that are to come. So from our family office inception, we have been practicing a very, very 5,000-year-old, very old management philosophy called Arthashastra. So Arthashastra means, Artha means money, and Shastra means economic policy and military strategy. So Arthashastra is essentially the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible for business. Any problem in business with regards to growth, employee management, or anything that you can think of, Arthashastra is the ultimate answer for it. And you might think it's 5,000 years old, and how is it relevant? So the thing is that what the scriptures consist is they talk about basic human values, and that is the reason it is relevant and will be relevant forever. So in today's world, you can relate with these principles as modernly we call it natural justice, we call it good conscience, justice, we call it promissory estoppel, and rule of law. That is how we relate it to today's world. Personally speaking, I have led sovereign wealth funds worth billions of dollars. I'm working currently with Fortune companies. I had several funds for my family office as well as in my personal capacity. So our mandate of investments ranges globally. We are fairly agnostic as far as our investments are concerned. So coming back to the active victim program. So what happened is that we saw a lot of these gunshots happening everywhere. We saw these terrible loss of life, very, very grim situations where people were getting killed for no reason whatsoever. And then we came up as a team, me, Jason, and Chad, with the help of our family office. We set up a brand called Active Victim. We wanted to make a difference to society. We wanted to create a program that was very, very relevant to today's world. So today we employ ex-military personnel, service personnel. We employ ex-SWAT team leaders. We have some very, very coveted and highly professional people that are working with us. We have some veterans as well. So we look to forward this brand, and we expect that the general public supports us in every way. So with this, I end my speech, and really thank you for listening to me and having us over. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I would like to now call Jason here, and he would give us some very, very basic highlights of the program. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
$5.5 million, $8 million, $11.75 million, $38.5 million. Ladies and gentlemen, these are settlements, awards, or proposed settlements in active shooting cases in the United States of America in the last 8 years. $38.5 million in punitive damages for the Kraft Food shooting at their facility. 11.75 is a number that was turned down by the families of another active shooting. It is a real problem. So what I'm here to speak about tonight is how do we, as the business community, not only grow our wealth and treasure, but how do we protect it, right? How do we protect having to pay those kind of sums in these unfortunate situations? And the fact is, they're happening. And the training that's out there right now is not enough to comply. So just for a little bit of background, I think most are aware what the OSHA General Liability Clause is. And if you're not, simply stated, you're required to provide a workplace free from hazard or potential death that is known. This is the clause right now that all of the active victim or the active shooting victims are suing their own companies for. Not someone else's companies, their own. So if you're employing individuals that you're sending out into the marketplace, auditors, financial representatives, bank representatives, there is a risk. So what we're here to do is talk about how do we mitigate that risk. And that's what the Active Victim Program is for, to mitigate that financial risk to you and your business, to protect your treasure and your talent, both important. If an active shooter situation happens at a high-profile place, it is a billion-dollar issue. Not only are you going to have to deal with the lawsuits, settlements, and even if that happens and goes without a problem, you're going to have to deal with the increased security, the brand name recognition damage that you're going to have, and other things along the way that will come up. You will always be known for that instance. If you live in the South, everybody knows Pulse Nightclub. Everybody knows Kraft Foods, right? Some more obscure ones that have taken place have happened in Minnesota. You know, recently settled in Minnesota from a 2009 case, 3 dead, 12 wounded. Just to listen to some of the numbers. Fiamma Inc., a former employee comes back, very easy to get into. Handgun, 5 dead, no wounded, 100% fatality rate. Weiss, Pennsylvania, shotgun, 3 employees, fatalities, no wounded, 100% fatality rate. UPS, California, 2 handguns, 3 fatalities, 5 wounded. Advanced Granite, handgun, shooting other employees. He was an employee at the time, 3 fatalities, 2 wounded. Last week, 2 weeks ago, the Gazette in Maryland. Now, when we talk about the program, we talk about how can we protect ourselves. We believe in the 3 principles of escape, evade, and engage if it's necessary. And the premise of our program is to teach you as business people and entrepreneurs how to train your staff, or have us come train your staff, so that if something takes place, we can help. So again, we'd like to speak to you afterwards. We'll be here. We want to let the panel get going. Thank you so much for your time. And Nimish, congratulations on your award.
Let's do first things first. Could you please share, each one of you, panel members, in a few minutes, 2-3 minutes each, your personal and professional background? What defines you? What's your mission? What's your vision? Don't tell me I went to this school, I went to that school. I don't care what school you went to. I really don't. What I care about, who you really are. Why are you here? What got you to where you are today? In 2-3 minutes. To be an inspiration for the audience.
So as I also said in my speech, that we are a principle-based family office. And I feel the principles that we have been following throughout the decades, centuries actually, have been very, very instrumental in what we are today. So these principles have got to us where we are today. We are booming in every industry that we invest in. We have our own methods and means by which we pursue these investments, and we have our own strategy. So I think to be a successful entrepreneur or a successful businessman in any kind of cadre, you should have the zeal inside you, the will to succeed. And I think if you hold the hand of principles, you will succeed, believe me. I mean, there's nothing that is not possible. With the Active Victim Program, I can very, very proudly say that the Active Victim Program was established like 6 to 7 months back. Yes, exactly, 6 to 7 months back. And today we are booming with our revenues. I would not like to put any number there right now. But we have created such a successful brand with my team, and that has only been because we have had the right combination of things. I designed it that way actually. Found a very, very good team. We had all the funds. We really strategized it very well. So if you want to succeed, strategy is everything, I would say, everything. If you have strategy with you, there is nothing that you cannot conquer. So I would really encourage everybody to form a very solid strategy. No project is undoable. No project, believe me, is undoable, provided you have the zeal in you and you have the brains to draw the strategy.
I love your relentlessness. Kyle.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Dr. Kyle Knapp. I'm the CEO of BitCare. What made our DNA? We all go through a few learning experiences, and I was fortunate to have been sort of born into things, and I had a few things happen by chance. I was born into the healthcare sector. I also have been deeply involved in IT from an early age. I also spent time in the military, and that pretty much shaped me who I am today. One of the things that happened, is I was with the Rangers and a paratrooper. I was doing infantry, and I was injured on a parachute operation that went bad. And I realized at that time that while I fractured vertebrae and herniated discs, it really didn't identify the underlying cause of what caused chronic pain. After I went through the military, I spent time overseas in Bosnia and a few other places. I was still deeply affected by wanting to find and identify those areas that I knew that weren't being properly addressed. So I went through school. I started searching for things. I ended up going to exhaustively educating myself, and I came involved in the government relations along the way. And while part of the government relations, at the same time, I actually identified a pattern that identified the injuries, and I became consumed with it. So while I was involved with my own private practice, while I was working with the government, multiple government relations. So one of the things that really drove home to me with knowing my previous experience, seeing how the area of pain was, being involved with educating doctors about these emerging therapies and IT areas. And if everyone's not aware, the medicine's evolving right now. The way that the care is being done is everyone's being changed away from a symptom-based model to something more underlying to identify the area of injuries. It's not just about identifying the symptoms, it's about identifying the whole about the person. And that's one of the things that addresses with blockchain and with our organization is it helps to provide that ability for the doctors to truly find out specific information about the patient. So that way they have a better understanding of their whole person rather than just seeing them for 5 minutes and not having an idea about what's wrong and what they've been through.
Harry. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ziad, for this opportunity. I've been working with Ziad for the last 8 years in creating this Financial Policy Council, and I'm very impressed the way we grew the last 8 years. So my journey started when I came to this country about 34 years ago. And the last 30 years, I worked with various major financial firms, Credit Suisse, Merrill Lynch, BlackRock, and BNY Mellon. And that gave me the exposure about the wealth and wealth creation and how to preserve and protect the wealth, and what are the ways to innovate to create more wealth and protect it. So I also worked with the former President of India, Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was passionate about providing affordable quality healthcare, affordable quality education, and bring peace and harmony into one family at a time. So in that process, we created a training program called Individual Development Leads to National Development. We touched about close to 10 million children so far, and on the way to touch about 300 million children. In this, to use the technology to scale up, to reach that many number of people, that's where I did some soul searching and innovation myself, and identified 4 different areas focusing on artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and data analytics. These are the 4 drivers that are going to be driving the future of digital economics. So now we are trying to put together, we already launched a fund, Global Information Technology and Advisory Fund. So we have about close to $250 million committed already in driving this. And in this process, as Dr. Kyle was talking about the DNA, I'm talking about the genetics. Genetically, most of us are identical. If Ziad can be successful, I think you have the equal opportunity to succeed. Only thing is you need to go through a process. I think financial policy is providing that kind of process to become an entrepreneur. So now I created with another couple of people, we created a company called Kubul Genomics. So we are trying to identify there's about 240 single gene defects that can be knocked off for your lifetime. And also, if you are still in the reproduction system, you don't pass to the next generation. So there's a CRISPR-Cas9 framework that has been Nobel Prize awarded. And we are trying to follow that process through Kubul Genomics to identify those single gene defects and also see how we could eliminate from this planet.
Thank you, Harry. Thanks a lot. Alexandra. Sorry.
My name is Alexandra Levin Kramer. Just quickly, I guess I would say on the personal side, my motto is, in the original Hebrew, it's chazak va'amatz, which means be strong and brave. That's my motto. If not for my parents having that motto, my grandparents, and so on, I literally would not exist. And so to me, that's been translated into opportunity. I don't have time to waste. And to me, the opportunity of blockchain presented itself thanks to a conversation that my husband, who's sitting in the front row, had with me in 2014 on a Friday night dinner with my children, where he asked me if I had any plans on going back to school. And I thought, that's an odd question. I have 3 university degrees. Don't you think that's enough? And he said, well, thanks to something I'm working on called blockchain technology, we're not going to need lawyers anymore, so you might want to think about a new profession. I thought, oh, that's a red flag. Let me look into this blockchain technology. And so that's how it grew. I had a background as a capital markets and securities attorney in London and New York, moved into real estate and actually founded and managed my own real estate investment fund for 5 years. And initially got involved in blockchain because I just thought it was really interesting intellectually, and because I was a little young for the dot-com boom. I thought this is probably the biggest disruptive innovation in my lifetime. I better look into it. And so friends of mine and my husband's in Brooklyn, where I grew up actually, were kind of the blockchain anarchists of the day, and it was fascinating and made me feel very youthful, but triggered a lot of my initial securities law training to the extent where I thought, that is a fantastic idea, but you might want to talk to a lawyer. Mm-hmm. No, blockchain is beyond jurisdiction. The SEC can suck it. Not my opinion, just for the record. But others who, as I like to joke, don't look as good in orange, said to me, well, what do you think? How do we navigate this new, what is actually existing laws from 1933 and 34 and on, and apply it to a completely innovative industry? And so I was lucky to meet with Jeff Rind, the managing partner of our firm, and in the course of a couple of conversations where I happened to mention blockchain, he basically invited me to come over to the firm and found a new practice group in blockchain technology and digital currency. And so for me, it was another opportunity that I couldn't pass up. We have offices around the world. We have just now in my practice group, I would say roughly 50 attorneys work in some capacity within blockchain technology. We represent investment funds, token issuers, advisors, rating agencies, crypto funds, and so on and so on. So for me, it's a great mix of my training as an attorney and my entrepreneurial spirit, because it's an adventure every day.
Thanks a lot, Alexandra.
I'm the practice group leader, co-practice group leader of the corporate and securities practice group at C. Carroll Law. I met Jeff Rind about a little over 4 years ago, and we launched our firm 4 years ago this month. And at that time, I can't remember the exact number, but a handful of us. And now we have over 100 attorneys, well over 100 attorneys in the US and over 300 globally. We have offices on 5 continents. And I think eventually the letterhead is going to fill up because we keep adding more. And so it's been a real adventure putting a new firm together that wants to be different from the traditional law firm model, to be entrepreneurial, to let lawyers develop their own practices, but without a lot of hopefully bureaucracy. I know you hate bureaucracy, so we try to minimize it, even though we do have some structure. So I got involved in blockchain about the time that you came to the firm, more or less, and it's really blown up enormously, as everyone knows. And I think blockchain transactions, in one way or another, occupy a good, significant portion of probably the majority of my time right now.
So how do you look at problems in general, and how do you provide value by offering the right solutions?
Yes, again, as I said, to be successful, you need strategy, strategize very well for any project that you are looking at, and success will touch you. And as I said before, Ziad would also agree with this, that you need the zeal within you that is going to be instrumental in shaping you as an individual. And yes, money will definitely come in, but you got to take those right steps at the right time.
Look, I think strategy is important, zeal, passion is important, but it's all the most important thing is execution.
Yes.
Okay, I think we should mention this. It's all about execution. You can be the most brilliant guy in the world. If you can't execute and commercialize what you have, you're going nowhere. You're not going to make money. Yeah. You're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to be a number. Do you agree?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Kyle. Yeah, those are great comments as well. You know, and one of the things that you know sort of helped me to get past the hard times is something that I learned in the military: intestinal fortitude. It's about doing things when it's hard. You know, and one of the things that's also I've also picked up along the way is being able to do a lot of in-depth reviewing and industry studies. You know, that was also shaped from understanding how the government operates. I had a distinct passion to try to identify those problems that existed in the federal system, specifically the VA. And so I exhaustively looked to search for ways to provide those solutions. You know, I knew I was exposed to toxins and traumas. I also knew a lot of other fellow veterans and other people that were in the regular world are also as well. So, you know, I exhaustively searched, and not only in a clinical mindset, but from a research point of view, but actual clinical applications and integration with the technology. You know, I found out that information is huge, and in order to address all these issues, rather than what I was doing was reading a lot of information, I'd rather have a way that uses technology to actually search for that, to make it simple.
Do you rely more on people or on data, things, facts? Because some people have it in their guts. You know, they see this is right, this is wrong. I don't care about the data. This is how it is. So yeah, exactly. How do you?
There's actually a combination of both, I would say. If you have it in you, you will see the right and wrong, and you will be able to execute the right stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, finding that area of purpose, you know, to be something that will solve a problem across an industry that affects somebody as a whole, an individual, is important. You know, we're all not really, we're all driven by trying to identify problems, like you mentioned. You know, and also to find solutions.
I always think of looking at solving the problem that can have larger impact in the society, Ziad. So I talk about millions of people that I was talking about and eliminating 240 diseases from this planet for life, forever.
So I'll be very practical. My clients come to me for one of two reasons, or both. One, they want to stay out of jail, and B, they want to make money. I try to help my clients do that without it costing them an arm and a leg for my fees.
Mm-hmm. Barrett?
Well, our business is all about problem solving. I mean, that's all we do, which is, to echo what Sasha said, is to help our clients, entrepreneurs, companies to navigate the rocky shoals of regulation and law and get to the goal that they want to achieve.
Thank you. What are some of the most challenging legal and other problems you're facing in your industry? Most challenging?
Yeah, in our industry right now, as far as our family office is concerned, we have faced a lot of hurdles. It's not been a smooth ride. It became a smooth ride afterwards. Before our people worked very hard on it. So one of the hurdles that we are having right now with our family office is identifying niche sectors for investment. For example, we are looking at cryptocurrencies right now. So it's like we are on a ledge right now and we don't know whether to step in or step out. So there is dearth of information in this, in the sector. There's a lot of skepticism. So that is one very big hurdle. And we also know at the same time that blockchain and cryptocurrencies are going to be some sort of future. We don't know how much regulated, how much not regulated. But yes, that is a basic hurdle that we are facing right now.
So I'm sorry, before we continue with others. So how do you gather this intelligence to make sure that you have the right information to move forward or not?
No, we study market trends. We have some very, very eminent experts that have been working with our family office for decades now, even before I was born actually. Some of them have been associated with us. So we have our own means of gathering intelligence all over the globe. So we have sector heads of each and every geography that we work in, which give us inputs. We also have introduced something called fresh inputs, where we actually take inputs from the younger generation. Because if you talk of blockchain and cryptocurrencies to somebody who has like 25 years of experience, they are just going to throw it out of the box.
Yep.
So we have inculcated some young minds to which we talk to, and I'm also part of that committee, where that's not an investment committee, but that is a committee where people are young and they are looking at the real world right now and suggesting things, and then we go back with the analytics and then we sort of decide on where. But again, as I said, with crypto it has been a bouncy ride. I try to attend every crypto conference. One thing I don't understand is how valuations come in for crypto. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. There are ways to mitigate it, but again, we are not quite there.
Thank you, Nimish. Kyle.
Being in the healthcare sector, there's quite a bit of little bit of red tape. You know, obviously, you have to be very conscious of the information that you have available. You know, for HIPAA and high-tech laws. You know, and also be an understanding of the different applications to protect that data, as well as international relations. You know, this country's in an interesting space with import-export trades and tariffs. You know, so I have to spend a lot of time in the government sector just making sure I can track all those federal patterns about how things are existing. You know, and then in addition to that, just by practicing healthcare, a lot of the doctors, the procedures and so forth they have is obviously regulated in several different government heads. So you have to sort of be able to understand how the system is and thread the needle, you know, and also be able to find a way where you can actually provide useful services, maintain information, and make sure that you're abiding by the federal laws and state laws.
Thank you, Kyle. Harry.
Yeah, some of these things are evolving, Ziad, to be honest with you. The AI and blockchain and crypto, all these things are evolving. I think the government also needs to have experts. Maybe some of these people who are, some of my friends here are experts. They should be part of that legislative process to create that kind of, eliminate those hurdles. I think this is very important that government has to open up and say crypto is going to be the currency of the future, not the paper currency anymore. It could be Bitcoin or it could be anything, but crypto is going to rule the world. So in that process, I think the regulators have to look at what is realistic to adapt this process over a period of time, instead of having hurdles to say, I'm blocking crypto trading and I'm doing this. Find a way. This is a better way to deal with things. So you better have a process to be established so that people can sail through.
Absolutely. Alexandra?
So it's interesting that there's quite a lack of accurate information out there when it comes to regulation in particular. So if you wouldn't mind, how many people in the audience think that tokens or crypto is regulated, are regulated in the United States? Raise your hand if you think they are regulated. Okay, so a handful. So you're all right. The rest of you are wrong. Tokens and cryptocurrencies are 100% regulated in the United States. What that means, I could stand here for a full day and explain. The point is that, other than the fact that you need to hire lawyers, whatever you do, is the US, to its credit, the US government has not banned ICOs. It has not banned cryptocurrencies like other countries have. What it's done is be a little slow and react to new innovation where the regulation is not 100% clear to the public. So what the government has done, the regulators in particular, are actually very open. They basically have an open door policy to at least attorneys like myself and others who are, for the first time in my career, having an open dialogue with the SEC, for example. That I have spoken to the leaders of this technology group in the SEC, and they have made it very clear that they support innovation in the United States. They support blockchain technology as a technology. They are interested in the idea of virtual currency. However, they are taking things slow because they are concerned with the number of scams out there, the amount of fraud that there is potential for, that does exist. And so in my mind, yes, I think that on a federal level, there probably needs to be some new legislation. There is a Congressional Blockchain Caucus that is working on it. There are lobbyists that are working on it. There are individual states that have been a lot quicker to innovate, such as the state of Wyoming, Delaware to a certain extent, and others. But I think the risk with sort of this cautionary attitude is that there are other countries that are at the other end of China, right? There are other countries like Malta, Gibraltar, Singapore, Mauritius, on and on, that are very quick to innovate. They're very quick to react to the markets. And that's a risk that the US is continuing to take, that unfortunately many innovators are leaving the country or excluding the US market altogether, which is a real shame.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I mean, blockchain, first of all, is not going anywhere. I think the government knows that it's not going anywhere, and I think that they do not want to stand in the way, but they just want to make sure that people are protected for the most part. And in the meantime, I think the best advice in general is do the best you can. Take the rules that are there, apply them as best you can to something that admittedly is not often suited to those rules, but do the best you can. And I don't think that regulators are going to come down on somebody who made a good faith effort to try to get it right, even if they didn't get it right.
So assuming each one of you is giving a significant amount of money to invest in healthcare, Bitcoin, blockchain, digital economy, given the experience you have, what would you do? Where would you invest? Look, at the end of the day, all these regulations, all the theory is good, but it's no question, at the end of the day, how do you manage this money? How do you manage this wealth? How do you take care of the loopholes, if there are no loopholes? How do you take care of the opportunities here and there in all these sectors? This is what I really want to know. This is what every wealth creator want to know. You know, they get this money, they invest money in a company, it goes public, they make zillions of dollars. Where do they put their money? They hear about blockchain, they hear about digital, they hear about this and that. Okay, give me the juice. Yeah, I can educate myself. Where do I go? I'm talking to the experts here. You've been in that. You've been a number of years in the industry, you too, Harry, etc. Where would you allocate this money? And be specific. Don't tell me, I will invest in this and that. Be specific.
To be honest with you, we would invest that into artificial intelligence and natural language processing processes, right?
You put all of it there?
All of it there, yes.
Why? Why?
Yeah. Because we feel that, and I also personally feel that artificial intelligence is going to be the future. Believe it or not, take it or not, it is going to be the next revolution of mankind.
Okay, so question. So when you say you put it all there, you put what, in startup companies?
No, not at all. So
in what exactly? Be more specific.
So the way we are working right now, or we are strategizing right now, that we are introducing artificial intelligence systems, algorithms in various of our investments right now. We are modifying our models. Some of them are going into the pilot stages, but some we have implemented a couple of models, and they work very, very well. They literally transform you and show you the future in a way that nobody can see it. You should have the right people, of course, to do it. But yes, artificial intelligence is the place where I would put all my money right now.
Good. In fact, this is how you create wealth, by putting all your money in one basket and watching it like a hawk, not in diversifying. Diversifying, you create wealth preservation, not wealth creation.
Exactly.
Wealth creation happens, I mean, look at Zuckerberg, Gates, Jobs, they put all their money in their company and watch it like a hawk. Thank you. Kyle.
The areas for healthcare, obviously there's a few different areas that would be beneficial with automation, by areas, as he said, is AI. Obviously with AI companies that are specific, which aren't really any out there that have had the ability that are providing this healthcare systems with something specific for healthcare, to provide a solution. Obviously AI is, as we all understand, whether we like it or not, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. I wish they would get the automation for the traffic in New York City down pat. That would make life.
That would be great. Yep.
That would be great. So, but obviously it would be looking at the systems and the biggest problems, and obviously artificial intelligence. Just to give everyone an understanding, Bitcoin is only one of the cryptocurrencies, and the underlying infrastructure is blockchain. That's the technology that provides that method to communicate from one party to another. So this industry is going to affect everything, because we all know that there's a lot of information and data that's being used against us. It's actually how Facebook and Google made their money. It's also what the government uses to be able to track us as well. So
actually, yeah, I would agree with that.
Agree. Harry.
Yes, I'm focusing on the healthcare side. I want people to be healthy. There's a lot of things happening in the healthcare industry, and I'm going to put my money in the healthcare sector, but across combination of these ABCDs I was talking about: artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrency, the tokenization, and data analytics. So this combination, I create a platform of this to serve the healthcare related issue, and my focus is to touching about 300 million people to eliminate the single gene defects. That's what I'm going to focus on.
You're very consistent in what you said before.
Yes.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I thought I
billions
thought I could trick you in answering something else. No, I can't. Good, thanks. Alexandra.
What's really intriguing to me is the blockchain technology, the underlying technology. The currencies are interesting as well, but I think the technology has so much potential. And so what I would say is probably look at industries where there's a lack of transparency, there is a lack of financial inclusion globally, where there's a need to record data that can be shared in a verifiable, distributed way, meaning one of the reasons you hear a lot about healthcare is because they're basically silos of data. You hear a lot about real estate because the information, I mean, real estate is inherently illiquid. That's another challenge you should look for, industries where there is illiquidity. And I would say, you know, probably the key for me when I look at ICOs to invest in is to look at the team. Does anyone from the team actually have any experience in the underlying industry? Often they don't. Is there actually any potential profitability of the company itself, or am I just gambling on how many followers there are on Telegram, for example? So everyone has their own investment criteria. I think you need to judge for yourselves, but I would just say read. I mean, really just investigate. Make sure that the photos of the team are not just lifted from, you know, Google Images. Do your due diligence.
Love it. Barrett.
Well, you asked where to invest, and I couldn't agree more. Artificial intelligence is to me, that's just obviously the way to go. I mean, I think artificial intelligence is going to be everything one day. There may not be any room left for us, but that is where I think things are going to go. I mean, you may have heard the singularity people talk about. I think that's very real. It may not be in 20 years, it may be in 100 years, but at some point, artificial intelligence is going to rule the world. And the issue is who's going to control it, but you know, that's a philosophical question. But that, to me, that's the obvious place if you're $100 million.
So do you think, I mean, Elon Musk has the same fears that AI and automation is going to rule the world. He's been saying it on and on again. So do you really think this is going to be, we're heading there?
Well, there are three different phases of that, Ziad. Okay. One is the algorithmic phase, the next one is augmentation, and the last one is autonomous. Okay. So, and the algorithm is simple, like pattern recognition and doing some simple things. Mm-hmm. And we went through that process of automation that already. Then the augmentation, where we are replacing the robotic automation and those kind of things in the industry, that is, we are in that phase right now. Mm-hmm. The autonomous, as you see the driverless cars, yeah. The Tempe in Arizona, the crash happened, mm-hmm. we are in that testing mode right now. See. So future is going to be the autonomous thing. Decisions are made in a response in real life thing. And that's where the automation and it's going to really impact the global automation and how it's going to.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, I'll leave it up to the audience here. Any questions you have, please feel free to. There's no stupid questions. Go ahead.
Auto victim policy. Now, we are being forced to purchase terrorism insurance coverage and also crime bond as far as the corporations are concerned. And you are just mentioning about this auto victim policy. How is it going to impact the corporations, or are the corporations bound to purchase in future auto victim policy to protect the businesses? Or is it an individual mandate who should purchase this to protect them from the fear of being attacked?
Right. See, the thing is that as per the OSHA general liability clause, I mean, people, the way the courts are adjudicating the cases right now, it's not a mandatory clause as such, but it is applicable to every business in the United States. Whoever has an employee, whoever runs a business and has employees should train their people in active shooter incidents. It's black and white, written right there in their policies. So it is really up to the businesses to take cue. Purchase, no purchase is irrelevant. But I'm sure when you have done your part, when you have received active victim training, because we give out a certificate also at the end. So when the adjudicators see that they have done their part and still the incident happened, so you know, nobody can be blamed. So you will have sufficient grounds to mitigate that portion of the lawsuit at least. So there is no compulsion of taking a policy. We are not issuing a policy. We are training people. We are saving lives. We are helping businesses mitigate that part of compensation that they would definitely have to pay. I mean, today I can tell you, it is not reported on the media. And by the way, the shelf life of active shooter incidents is just 1 week, tops. And then the story changes until next shooting happens. So every lawsuit, every incident that happens entails a lawsuit. I mean, we have a complete list. If you visit our website, you will get a complete list of it. So if a shooting happens, you are doomed. The press will not report afterwards what happened to you, but there are cases, as Jason mentioned a while back.
I heard them.
Yeah. So there are these cases, and the employers are the employees are suing their employer.
The government itself is asking the teachers to be trained in this art to protect the schools.
So the schooling system that, as I have mentioned, that we are trying to penetrate is again saying that we don't know whether we should go for law enforcement or we should go for private training like us. So our training doesn't cost a lot, but at the end of the day, when you compare that with insurance premiums that you pay, the kind of compensations that you would have to pay, it's going to be humongous. I mean, with our training, if you invest $1 in training, and if an incident were to happen, you would save $120,000 when you just spend just $1. So consider the $1 as your premium that you would pay.
So my question has to do with adaptability. So I do agree with strategy is important. Execution is most important. Once you understand how to execute, in today's world, things change so fast that you have to adapt to continue to grow and serve your clients. So as technology changes, we've been a company doing infrastructure and security for many years, but we want to move forward. And we've learned a lot of what we want to provide our clients by finding what they need and seeing what the enterprise level is doing, and then adapting it to small businesses. So what we've recently done is bought a 30-year-old software application firm to bring enterprise-level blockchain technology to small to medium-sized businesses. Excuse me. My question is this. In moving to an adaptability capability, you look for resources to find the answers to guide you down the path or to choose the path where you want to go with your business. There's so much confusion in the Bitcoin, blockchain world right now. Who do you look to? Not internally, but outside. What do you follow? What exact resources do you look to get your information that you believe is credible to decide what path to take your business, especially in blockchain?
Yeah, definitely what information, the internet did to the information and the blockchain is going to do for the value creation. I think that's the thing. And where do you look for it? I think you would like to look at the different use cases, not look at what the technology, which technology is going to solve that use case. Blockchain could be one of the technology to solve a use case. Look at what are the problems that you are facing on a day-to-day in your business or the industry, in the society, and see how that can be mitigated using a technology. I think blockchain may not be the solution for each and every use case, but it is going to be, especially in the financial way, trillions of dollars and billions of people money goes through, right? But blockchain is going to eliminate that middleman thing and look at that kind of way. And there are certain organizations, I think some of my friends here, who are trying to create an educational platform to educate what is happening on a day-to-day basis in this crypto and blockchain and AI space. I think you need to look at those ways to educate yourself and see what is happening in the marketplace.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, just real quickly, we had a session last fall on cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin was going strong, and we've seen some problems there with Bitcoin going up and down, and allegations of fraud and all those kind of things. Has that softened the blockchain market? Has that discouraged the market from increasing?
I'll go and answer that one. Obviously, there's been changes this year, 2018. They actually, SEC came in, so they made it more protected. Last year alone, it made $6.8 billion. And this year, right now, I believe the most recent estimate was already at $6 billion. So it's definitely not going down. Some of these cryptocurrencies are seeing some volatility, but everyone is actually, a lot of the different coins that are out there, they're not going down too much. There's just more of them added. And as she mentioned, obviously with a lot of the investment for these newer advancing cryptocurrencies, you need to really assess the company very well. That's why the SEC came in, to create a little bit more stability in that market. But does that answer your question?
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul Vencia. So one of the questions that Ziad asked last event was, how do you screw Google, right? How do you really stick it to the big guys? So since you're involved in cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and you kind of see the future a little bit ahead of us because you work on it, what do you think Google's role will be in the world of blockchain, in the world of AI? Will there be another company that uses blockchain to completely bypass Google, or do they have to integrate with that?
Very good question.
Google is part of a bigger issue, which is, the same with Facebook, the same with Yelp, which is that a lot of the platforms that are obviously making billions of dollars for the shareholders are profiting off of the individual folks who are liking things, who are clicking on things, for which none of them get remunerated, right? So one of the...
They do. You get free services.
Right, okay. But
that's the model.
The blockchain philosophy is such that if you look at it in its core, right, the 2008 Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, for example, it's about individuals basically taking power back. And you have to remember, 2008 was the last downturn, right? So you have to keep it in the context in which it was created. But the idea is that in theory, right, you can have a new Google or a new Facebook where every like rewards the user. A recommendation is not just something that your best friend wrote on LinkedIn for you, but actually someone will stake their tokens that you are in fact who you say you are, or you have the skill that you say you have. And who benefits then? The person who made the recommendation, not the platform necessarily. So, this idea of, well, Google is this giant, and I have nothing against Google. I think it's amazing. I Google all the time. But the economy is changing. People are taking back the power, so to speak, the financial power. They want to get rewarded for their actions that leads to someone else's success.
This is what I want to hear, what you just said. Thank you, Paul, for triggering this. I want to find a way to disrupt and totally screw Google. I'm a disruptor. You should have said we should have teamed up the $500 million together and went after a way to totally disrupt, obliterate the big boys. How do you do that? That's what I want to discuss. If you have the brain power, you can attract the best team. With $500 billion, you can buy anyone. Literally buy them, lock, stock, and barrel. What do you do to screw the big boys? This is the whole thing. This is how we have to start thinking. Not just, I want to start a nice little company, I'm going to do $5 billion, I'm going to do a public offering. This is passé. Every generation has to do the other. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. What do we do? What is the mousetrap, artificial intelligence, where, how, etc.? And how much money do you need to disrupt the big boys, to piss them off? You've got to piss them off. If you're not pissing them off, you're not going to make money. You're not making a dent. How do we really challenge that status quo, disrupt it? Drain the financial swamp. I think there was a financial swamp as much as a political swamp. The political swamp that we're talking about in Washington, I think the financial swamp is as big. I think lots of venture capitalists are total idiots. I hope it's on record. Total idiots. 99% are idiots. And 99% of the entrepreneurs are equal idiots. So you're talking about people who are idiots teaching to the other guys. They both made mistakes. You don't know how many companies folded and how many venture capital groups folded. This revenue model is passé. Invest in $2 or $3 million in a board company, have every venture capitalist sit on the board of one company, 15 companies, etc. This is passé. We have to find the next revolution. What is the next thing? What is the next thing? This is exactly what our role is. And this is what I would like to discuss. I would like you to push the limits. How would you answer this? This is the last question. No more questions.
I want to answer that, Ziad.
Thank you.
I think to take her point, right now the data is the king. Google, Facebook, these are all holding the data and they're monetizing out of it. Now the data belongs to us.
This is why I'm telling you, I asked them the question, data or people?
Data belongs to us. Now the disruption is we need to own my own data and I want to monetize my data.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm working on personally. We are trying to genetically screen about 300 million people and we want to put the data and we want to empower those data owners to monetize themselves. Let's say some pharmaceutical company is trying to do research on certain disease, and these people become the candidate, and they would like to provide. Right now, somebody else is selling their data.
Exactly. Yes.
Now I want this individual to sell the data
Brilliant.
and make money out
Yes.
of it. It's a reverse of it. That's what we are working on, just to answer your question.
Yeah. And if you look at the healthcare sector, the trillions of dollars that these pharmaceutical companies are making, they are making essentially drugs that they are getting information from us.
Yeah.
We as patients, whenever we go to a doctor's clinic, they are actually virtually minting money on us.
And just to add, for example, Ziad is one very successful person, right? He created wealth. Now he is enabling, through Financial Policy Council, others to create wealth.
Yes.
He's trying to disrupt that.
Yes.
Right?
I want plenty of disruptors, an army of disruptors. Because this country is managed by idiots. Like he's saying, Trump, absolutely right. And now it's getting less, but he's saying it's not political. It's business. Venture capital industry is run by idiots. Yep. And the entrepreneurs have a huge ego. I'm writing a book about that called Stupid Startups, you know, how ego and incompetence tank most of the ventures. It's true. This has got to change. Yep. We still talk about this 2018, but we still think like in 1960 and 70. This has got to change. With the big boys having a monopoly, the Google, the big boys. This has got to total disruption.
Yeah.
A tsunami.
All of you mentioned that you'd be investing in AI. So what specific businesses or subsectors of businesses do you think AI will be impacting the most?
I think artificial intelligence, one day in the not too distant future, you're going to go to your doctor's office and he's going to ask you what your symptoms are, and he's going to plug them into a computer, and the computer is going to tell him what's wrong with you. And that's already being worked on. IBM, their Watson program, they're working on that. I think they teamed up.
So a big thing with like healthcare, sorry to interrupt you, is doctors, when they examine patients, it's a whole physical thing. They check your appearance, they check your smell, and things like that. So if you introduce AI, are they working on something that's going to detect scents?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
AI is like a bazooka in our hands right now. It just depends on how you use it.
Love it.
It's across the board. Across the board, you can use AI, but since you are in the financial markets, the algorithmic trading is the one most widely used today to make money without human intervention.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, guys.